anatomy of head and neck. So in this we demonstrate surface anatomy of thyroid gland, parotid gland and duct, pterion, common carotid artery, internal jugular vein, subclavian vein, external jugular vein, facial artery and accessory nerve. So first we will start with thyroid gland. You can see in the picture. First is isthmus. So for isthmus, 1 centimeter below the cricoid arch, draw a line 1.5 centimeters long across trachea to represent upper border of isthmus. Next, draw another line 2 centimeters below the first one to represent the lower border of isthmus. So one is drawn 1.5 centimeters below the cricoid arch and another line is drawn 2 centimeters below the first line. Then to represent lobes, put a point 1 centimeter below the lower border as shown. Next, mark another point 2.5 centimeters below and lateral to the outer end of lower border of isthmus. Join these poles. This represents lower pole of thyroid gland. Then put a point a little in front of anterior border of sternocleidomastoid muscle at the level of laryngeal prominence to represent the upper pole. Then lines joining the upper pole with the lateral end of upper border and the lateral end of lower pole outline the lateral lobes of thyroid gland. So these can be seen in the pictures. Then we go to parotid duct. Mark a point on the lower border of concha of the ear. Put a point midway between the Olaf nose and red margin of upper lip. Middle third of the line represents the parotid duct. Then we go to parotid gland. First we will draw the anterior border. Mark a point on the upper border of mandibular condyle. A point a little above the center of masseter. Another point 2 centimeters below and behind angle of mandible. Join the points. This represents anterior border. Upper border. Mark the upper border of the mandibular condyle and a point on mastoid process as shown. Draw a curved line joining these points across the earlobe below external acoustic meatus. Then we go to posterior border of the parotid gland. Mark a point on the apex of the mastoid process and a point 2 centimeters behind below the angle of mandible and join them with a line. That represents posterior border. Then we go to pterion. It is its center is located, as you can see in the picture, 3.5 centimeters behind and 1.5 centimeter above the frontozygomatic line, suture. Its center is located 3.5 centimeters behind and 1.5 centimeters above the frontozygomatic suture. So this you can see, that is frontozygomatic suture, 3.5 centimeters behind and 1.5 centimeters above, that represents pterion. Then common carotid artery. Common carotid artery, to mark a point on the sternoclavicular joint, as can be seen. Put a point at the anterior border of sternocleidomastoid, at the level of upper border of thyroid cartilage, as shown. Join these points by a double line, as seen in the picture. So this represents carotid artery. Then internal jugular vein. For marking internal jugular vein, a point on the lobe of the ear or lobule of the ear. Another point at the medial end of the clavicle, as shown. Join these points by a double line. That represents internal jugular vein. Then we go to subclavian vein. So to draw the subclavian vein, or to surface mark the subclavian vein, a point a little medial to midpoint of lower border of clavicle. Another point at the medial edge of clavicular head of sternomastoid. Join these with a short double line with convexity upwards, as shown in the picture. So this represents subclavian vein. External jugular vein. Mark a point below the angle of mandible, as shown. Another point on the upper border of clavicle, immediately lateral to posterior border of sternocleidomastoid muscle. And draw a line downwards and backwards joining these points. That represents external jugular vein. Then facial artery. To mark facial artery, mark a point at the anterior inferior angle of masseter, as shown, by palpating the artery, anterior inferior angle of masseter muscle, by palpating the artery. Mark another point 1.2 centimeters lateral to angle of the mandible, as shown. Then the third point at the medial angle of the eye, as shown. Join these points by a line which should curve forwards almost to the ala of the nose. Then accessory nerve. To mark accessory nerve, put a point in the lower and anterior part of tragus, that is in front of ear. That is first point. Then second point, mark the tip of the transverse process of atlas, as shown. Then third point is, put another point at the junction of upper 1/3 and lower 2/3 along the posterior border of sternocleidomastoid muscle, as shown. Then fourth point, another point on the anterior border of trapezius 6 centimeters above the clavicle. Join these points by a line which goes downwards and backwards across the posterior triangle of neck. So with this we can mark accessory nerve. Then we go on to study another competency, that is anatomical route used for carotid angiogram and vertebral angiogram. So first we'll start with carotid angiogram. Internal carotid artery is punctured at the point where its pulsation is most easily felt. Usually at the level of upper border of thyroid cartilage, that is in the carotid triangle, and lateral to external carotid artery. So these all can be seen in the picture. Normally it is covered, that carotid artery is covered by skin, platysma and deep cervical fascia. If common carotid angiogram is required, then needle is introduced at the point of maximum pulsation above the clavicle. That is for common carotid artery. Then we go to vertebral angiogram. This is by direct percutaneous anterior approach of Lindgren. In this procedure, a spinal lead is introduced 1 centimeter from the midline. A spinal needle is introduced 1 centimeter from the midline. Then 3 centimeters above the manubrium. The needle is angled upward for a distance of 2 or 3 vertebrae. So when the vertebral body is encountered by the needle is moved laterally, as shown in the figure, moved laterally onto the fascia overlying the transverse processes. Then the needle is inserted between 2 transverse processes, that is into transverse foramen or foramen transversarium. So needle is inserted between 2 processes, that is going into foramen transversarium until the posterior wall of the foramen is felt, as shown in the picture. And in this procedure, the needle is always pointed laterally to preclude the possibility of entering the subordinate space. So this is how vertebral angiogram is done. And this is a picture, and in carotid angiogram or the vertebral angiogram, the vessels will be visible. So we get the picture, and here the example given is the vertebral angiogram. So you can see the vertebral arteries which are going towards the center of the brain, that is, and joining there to form the circle of Willis, and then getting distributed through cerebral arteries throughout the brain. Thank you.